What if I told you that betrayal rarely begins with a single decision? It doesn't usually happen in one dramatic moment. Instead, it starts with tiny thoughts, silent frustrations, hidden desires, and invisible cracks that grow over time. The most shocking part is that many people who betray someone once believed they never would. So why does betrayal happen? Is it caused by bad character, temptation, loneliness, or something much deeper hidden inside the human mind? Today, we're diving into the fascinating psychology behind one of the most painful experiences any person can face. Betrayal hurts because it attacks something far more valuable than possessions or status. It destroys trust. Trust is the invisible foundation of every meaningful relationship. Whether it's between partners, friends, family members, or even colleagues, trust allows people to feel emotionally safe. Once that safety disappears, the emotional damage often lasts much longer than the event itself. But while betrayal is painful for the victim, understanding why people betray can reveal uncomfortable truths about human nature. One of the biggest reasons people betray others is emotional dissatisfaction. Contrary to popular belief, betrayal isn't always driven by physical attraction or personal gain. Many people begin seeking emotional validation long before they make any obvious mistake. They feel ignored, misunderstood, unappreciated, or disconnected. Instead of addressing these feelings openly, they quietly search for someone or something that fills the emotional gap. The betrayal becomes the consequence, not the beginning of the problem. Another powerful factor is opportunity. Psychology has repeatedly shown that people often overestimate their own self-control. Many believe they would never cross certain moral boundaries until the perfect opportunity appears. A private conversation becomes emotional. A harmless friendship becomes intimate. A small secret turns into a much larger one. Human beings are experts at justifying their actions when temptation is combined with the belief that they won't get caught. Instead of asking, "Is this wrong?" the brain slowly changes the question to, "Can I get away with this?" That subtle shift can completely change someone's behavior. The human mind is also remarkably skilled at self-deception. Very few people wake up and think of themselves as villains. Instead, they create stories that make their actions feel reasonable. They convince themselves that they deserve happiness, that their partner doesn't understand them, or that the relationship was already broken. These mental justifications reduce feelings of guilt and allow betrayal to feel less like a moral failure and more like an unavoidable consequence. In reality, people are often lying to themselves long before they lie to someone else. Insecurity plays a surprisingly important role as well. Some individuals betray not because they are confident, but because they constantly seek external validation. Every compliment, every message, every new person's attention temporarily boosts their self-worth. Unfortunately, this creates an endless cycle. External validation fades quickly, so they continue chasing new attention, believing it will finally make them feel complete. The betrayal isn't really about the other person. It reflects an internal emptiness that no relationship can permanently fix. There is also the influence of personality. Some people naturally possess lower levels of empathy or higher levels of impulsiveness. They prioritize immediate rewards over long-term consequences. Others struggle with commitment because deep emotional vulnerability feels frightening. Betrayal, in these cases, isn't always carefully planned. Sometimes it results from poor emotional regulation, weak boundaries, or an inability to tolerate discomfort. Understanding this doesn't excuse betrayal, but it explains why different people respond differently to similar situations. Interestingly, not all betrayal involves romantic relationships. Friends betray each other through jealousy. Business partners betray each other for financial gain. Family members betray each other's trust through lies or manipulation. At its core, betrayal occurs whenever loyalty is sacrificed for personal benefit. The specific situation changes, but the psychological mechanism often remains remarkably similar. Short-term personal rewards outweigh long-term emotional consequences. Social media has introduced a new layer to this ancient human behavior. Today's world offers constant access to attention, comparison, and temptation. A single message can reconnect former lovers. Endless scrolling creates unrealistic expectations about relationships and lifestyles. People begin comparing their real lives to carefully edited versions of everyone else's happiness. This constant exposure increases dissatisfaction, making emotional boundaries easier to cross than ever before. Technology didn't invent betrayal, but it certainly made opportunities more accessible. Childhood experiences can also shape future behavior. Individuals who grew up surrounded by dishonesty, emotional neglect, or unstable relationships may develop unhealthy beliefs about trust and commitment. Some learn that betrayal is normal because it was repeatedly modeled during their early years. Others become so afraid of abandonment that they sabotage relationships before they can be hurt themselves. Our earliest experiences often become invisible scripts that influence adult decisions without us even realizing it. However, perhaps the most uncomfortable truth is this: betrayal often reveals problems that already existed, rather than creating entirely new ones. Healthy communication, emotional honesty, and mutual respect can prevent many situations from escalating. Unfortunately, avoiding difficult conversations feels easier in the short term. Silence creates distance. Distance creates loneliness. Loneliness creates vulnerability. And vulnerability can eventually lead to betrayal. The final act is often only the last chapter of a story that began much earlier. Does this mean betrayal is inevitable? Absolutely not. Humans also possess empathy, integrity, self-awareness, and the ability to make difficult, ethical choices. Every day, millions of people experience temptation without acting on it. The difference lies in emotional maturity, honest communication, and the willingness to confront problems before they grow into irreversible mistakes. Loyalty isn't simply the absence of temptation. It's the conscious decision to protect trust, even when breaking it seems easier. In the end, betrayal isn't just about broken promises. It's about the complex battle between desire and responsibility, emotion and discipline, selfishness and empathy. Understanding why people betray doesn't erase the pain, but it helps us recognize warning signs, build healthier relationships, and better understand ourselves. Because sometimes the greatest protection against betrayal isn't learning how to predict other people's actions. It's learning how human psychology quietly shapes every decision we make, long before anyone notices.